Fields come and have an intimate conversation with us. We're going to call this CCC, Coffee, Cocktails, and Conversation with Miss Kim Fields. And I am so excited. I'm going to talk about some of the things I want to talk about. And then Miss Fields said, she told me to call her Kim. It's going to be difficult because she is a girl crush of mine. Don't get it twisted. But I'll talk about some things, and then Kim Fields said that you all can ask her some questions as well. But don't repeat yourself, just like in City Council, when I give you the instructions, if she's already answered the question, don't ask the question again. But, because we don't want to waste your time, you know? So we're just talking a little bit. Douglasville, of course, we're hosting here. Our host is the Blue Rose Art Bistro, one of our awesome places. Yes, in historic downtown Douglasville. We have so much going on, Ms. Fields. We have a new initiative in downtown. Okay, Kim. She said Kim. Kim, we're going to have an amphitheater, a town green with office space, living, townhomes, entertainment. And so the ground is going to start moving in January. We put the bid out there. Demolition has already started. All right. So we're really, really excited about that. And this is one of the places that is just, you know, honing that audience for us to help us go to our other entertainment space that'll seat 2,500 people. Oh, wow. So we're really excited about that. Okay. So I'm just going to ask you some questions, but first, I don't know who on the planet doesn't know you. But just in case someone does not know who Kim Fields is, she is an acclaimed American actress. You all can laugh and stuff, it's okay. Because I don't want these jokes to fall. I mean, you know. And so, but an acclaimed American actress, and so many parts of our lives you've been involved in, and you're still very, very busy. And so, Mrs. Butterworth, probably 5 years old, I remember that commercial. You hail from New York. Yes, the Big Apple. and so starting out there, but not really so many hit television shows. I mean, of course, you were Tootie on Facts of Life. My goodness, on roller skates. Tell me, please, a little bit. I know you've done shows before that. Yeah. And you're second generation actress because your mom is Chip Fields. Yeah. Lord have mercy, the iron in good times. With Janet Jackson. It didn't seem like actress. It was like so real. It was really, really. I think abuse in the home, but it really helped us to have a conversation about it. Yes. You know, if that was happening. Mm-hmm. But so you're second generation. I understand you have a third generation coming too, your son. Yes. So if you could, I know people said, oh, really? Yeah. So the family business is continuing. So just talk to us just a little bit. We're going to go just a little bit from the past. Sure. Because that success is an indicator of your present and the great things that you're doing now. So in the past, you were Tootie on the Facts of Life. Mm-hmm. You had roller skates. So not only were you the only minority in that cast of awesome women, but you had to. Why'd you have a roller skate? Because you were little bitty.
Yes, actually. So first of all, thank you so much, Madam Mayor, for having me in your beautiful city.
Thank you.
We actually enjoy Douglasville quite a bit.
Oh, great.
Yes, and so my husband and I, our kids, are no strangers to your wonderful city.
Thank you.
Thank you to Blue Rose Bistro, Art Bistro, for hosting this wonderful event. Mm-hmm. Thank you to all of you for coming. Thank you, Madam State Farm over there in the corner holding it down. But thank you very much, and thank you for giving.
Yes, ma'am.
And understanding the importance of giving and taking care of those who need you at the moment. The script might be flipped at any moment.
That's right.
And so being able to start, really to start with your own self and your own home, and then being able to give and take care of right out front from there. So thank you very much for all of that.
Thank you.
For me, with the roller skates specifically, so yes, I was 9 years old when I started on Facts of Life, age 9 to 18. And I was a small 9. Bless your heart, Madam Mayor. You thought I was 5 on the Miss Butterworth commercial because I was that small. I was actually 7.
Are you serious?
I was a small 7.
Wow.
So I was too short to play a 12-year-old. And so because I was 9, and then I was the small 9. And so they said, well, what can we do to make you taller? And some executive said, well, can you roller skate? If we put you on roller skates, that'll make you taller. Okay. But roller skating in a big rehearsal hall with no furniture, no obstacles, is real different than coming down the stairs in like remember Different Strokes and that big winding staircase? Try going down them stairs in skates. Or the first season of Facts of Life when I was on the roller skates and we had those stairs and all that. So if you look at the pilot, there's a couple of times when I'm kind of unsteady and crashing into people and all sorts of things. But that's why I was on skates.
Wow. You want to skate? Now, do you still skate?
I rollerblade occasionally, you know.
I see you.
But I haven't been like in a roller rink in forever. But I do enjoy rollerblading, not nearly as much as I used to, but every now and then I like to get out on a paved trail.
Wow, that's impressive. Now, before that, you were on Baby I'm Back, though, right? Now, tell me about that.
So
because
Baby I'm Back. Thank you. So Baby I'm Back was a TV series that lasted for 1 season on CBS, and you can now find, well, everything you find on YouTube. But you can definitely find Baby I'm Back on YouTube, and that was my first series. Denise Nicholas and Demond Wilson, and my Uncle Luther was so happy that I booked that job because, like all black men in the 70s, he loved him some Denise Nicholas. So that was my first series, actually.
Wow, very good. You have been. Your face. You're so beautiful. I mean, it looks like you're 25. But you look 25. But I know you've been some other things that you've done, and so
that was a nice way of saying. But I know you not. Yes, diplomacy.
Only because of the body of work that you've done that you can possibly be 25.
Right.
So there's some other things, of course. But you went to college. You went to Pepperdine.
Yes, I did.
Yes.
So
Enjoying that. That's Ivy right there. I know.
Thank you. I went to at Pepperdine University, and it was during my last year of Facts of Life.
Wow.
And I actually had to delay it a semester because you may remember in the final season of Facts of Life we did our second TV movie, Facts of Life Goes to Australia. Facts of Life Down Under, that's what it's called. And here's a little trivia for you. There is one actor who played a love interest for Tootie and Regine.
Oh.
Don't go get your phone. Oh, y'all so pathetic.
I'm trying to think.
I know it.
Was it George
Ebony.
No, who?
Ebony.
Ebony.
No, not Ebony.
Who?
Heavy D.
Heavy D? No. Now this is the answer. Heavy D is the answer to a different trivia question that I just thought of because you just hollered out Heavy D. What actor, rapper would you let me finish? Played Regine's love interest and Kim Field's sister's daddy? Heavy D.
Really?
Yes. Because Kev was on Rock with Alexis. When Alexis first started acting, that was her first series, and that's my baby sister.
Yes.
And so, and then he went on to do, because Fox really loved his work on Rock, and so when Living Single came up, and Yvette wanted to, I really love that, and I know we're jumping all over career.
That's okay, we can. That's good.
But Yvette, who created Living Single, give it up for Yvette Lee. So Yvette, really wanted to show Regine just trying to be about more than just the exterior.
Right.
And so she dated somebody that no one would ever think Regine would date in terms of head. And it was a great arc. It was a great storyline. The episodes that he was on, Regine really learned a lot about herself. And then the fact that he was like, nah, I'm good on you. And it was like, oh, what? You know, that sort of thing. But anyway, back to the original trivia question.
Yeah, what was the answer?
So the answer is Mario Van Peebles. Mario Van Peebles played Tootie's love interest in the Australia movie.
Okay.
And then later in Living Single, he and his father had that wonderful episode where they were both dating Regine.
Wow.
There you go. Ain't no prize for all of that. Just so you can go to work tomorrow or at the top of the year and be like, guess what?
Guess what happened to that? Right. So talk to us about Regine. I'm going to tell you.
Sorry. So Pepperdine. That's how.
Oh, Pepperdine. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
So Pepperdine, I had to wait until the spring semester started because that fall is when we went to do the Australia movie.
Yes.
And we were in Australia for a month. And then that spring, I did a TV special called Andy Williams with the NBC Kids, Easter in Rome.
Wow.
And so I had to delay a little bit again in order to be in Rome with Andy Williams and the NBC Kids. And that was just such a wonderful honor, you know, to do one of his specials. That was like, you know, that was it. And to be able to do that. And Joey Lawrence, he and I are still, we talk about that because he was on Give Me a Break at the time. And so we were NBC Kids, and so we were in Rome together doing that special.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah. But Pepperdine was great. I'm glad. My mother, you know, made sure that I had a backup plan.
There you go.
She said, you may not grow up to be cute. So you gotta have a backup plan. She didn't say it like that. But you know, her thing was have a backup plan. Have something to fall back on in case none of this happens again for us or for you. And so I studied TV and film production and broadcast journalism. I double majored. And then I minored in religion. Okay. And again, just, you know, so I had something else to talk about in a room, you know, instead of just what was I going to wear to a red carpet or my career and that sort of thing. Yes. And so Pepperdine, I was able to graduate in 3.5 years.
Wow, smart.
Because, well, thank you, but also because of the type of discipline that I had from having a tutor on the set, you know, pretty much all of my education. Wow. So I took 7th and 8th grade together. So I got out of high school. I graduated a year early from high school. Wow. And then I graduated from college in 3.5 years.
Wow. I think that's a testament. I know, it's a testament for young people to have not just a backup plan, but to really invest in education and to not pull all of your irons in one, you know, one thing. You need to make certain that you're able to market yourself and be articulate. And I've heard you say before in conversations that to have a seat at the table, but when you're there, after you're at the table and someone looks to you, that you're able to have something to say. And it be, you know, profound or articulate or whatever on that topic that you're able to articulate rather than just being cute at the table.
Right. Yes, absolutely. Having, you know, the big push over the last few years was having a seat at the table. Yes. Having a seat at the table. And so then, you know, it's like, well, once you get to the table, you better be prepared. Exactly. You know, you have to have, what is it that you're saying at that table? That's right. Making sure that you have impact, but also that you can listen. Ooh, Lord, ain't nothing worse than people who can't listen. What you talking about? And, you know, what I say, if there's, you know, a finger pointing this way, there's what, 4 that's pointing right back at you. So I'm not telling you anything that I'm not, you know, attributing and trying to work through myself. Right. With just listening. When I did this movie for Lifetime this past Christmas, it was It was wonderful.
Wow.
To have, and I didn't mean the movie was wonderful. I meant the opportunity. The movie was
wonderful.
But to that, and we'll get to that. Yes, but it was wonderful to have that opportunity to have the seat at the table and know that I was ready.
Yes.
And who directed the movie, who is based out here, just outside of Atlanta as well, and to know that we were ready when we had the seat at the table, and we had a voice, we had impact, but to be heard. Because you can have a voice all you want, but if ain't nobody listening to you, and if you're not listening to other people, then it's a really difficult time at the table.
Right.
And it really was just truly one of the greatest experiences, that I've had in my 40-plus year career.
Wow, we're so proud of you. And it's like grandmother, 2 ears and 1 mouth, so you have to listen twice as much as you talk.
Right.
And obviously this religion minor has helped in all these things. So regime, we're going to jump to Living Single. Before there was a Friends and some other series, Living Single was our Friends. And I had, finished college and didn't know a whole lot of people, and there was a girls that we all worked like for the government or whatever, and they used to call me Max. I wanted to be Regine, but they said you're Max because I didn't live there, but I was always eating and staying over at Mel's house. So please talk to us about that experience with those phenomenal actors and actresses who everyone still, you all are still in the business.
Yes.
So before you jump into that, can you just talk a bit about being able to be a child actress and being so well-rounded, down to earth, wholesome, and not falling in that trap that we see so many young people do. And it's unfortunate, but we've lost a lot to drugs and some other ills in life, and you seemingly, you haven't done that.
Well, thank you. Thanks be to God. Thanks be to God.
Amen.
Thanks be to God for keeping me. Thanks be to God for keeping me when I didn't want to be kept.
Amen.
I felt like my village deserved the best from me because they had given me so much. And I felt like I wasn't going to be a has-been at 18. I didn't want to be a statistic.
Right.
I knew that I was a part of a very special club, for lack of a better way to put it, in terms of child stars, black, white, or otherwise.
Right.
And Melissa Gilbert, who played on Little House on the Prairie and then grew up to become a phenomenal adult actress and the head of our actors union, and she's definitely one of my heroes and an old childhood friend. She and the gentleman who played Leave It to Beaver, his name was Tony Dow. He played the older brother on Leave It to Beaver. And the two of them did this documentary about child stars.
Wow.
And they invited me to be a part of it. It was this roundtable discussion. God rest her beautiful soul, Patty Duke was a part of that. And some other wonderful former child stars and current child stars. They were current child stars then. And I was the only black person there, which carried an extra, I don't want to call it a weight because I never saw this as a burden.
Right.
Or responsibility. It just was.
Right.
But I knew that I was a part of a very special community of people who had, certain unique challenges and unique experiences.
Yes, ma'am.
And not everything was a negative, because you had some really wonderful, positive, yet very unique experiences being a child star.
Wow.
And I didn't take any of that for granted, and I still don't to this day. It's still, when in hindsight, it's very surreal to me to have that experience. And people say to me, you didn't have anybody to really. It's like when people say I'm a trailblazer or an icon. I can't look at it that way. I'm blessed to be a working actor or working director, or working producer, and that's how I have to look at it. Otherwise, I'd go crazy. And my mom, she never stopped parenting me. She never stopped being my parent. She never was my manager. She wasn't a momager.
Like they say.
She was my mother.
Wow.
And I'm to this very moment, Madam Mayor, I'm constantly in awe of that because she was 18 when she had me. What does she know about parenting? Let alone trying to navigate through those waters. And she would always say, God looks after fools, babies, and us. So I attribute a lot of my sanity, as much as I have it, and I have a lot, I think.
You do.
Considering, considering. But I also just felt like I attribute a lot of that to my mom and my village. Just people who would listen, and if I needed a shoulder to cry on, I was having a bad time. If I needed any support in any way, I always felt loved and supported, and not because I was Kim Fields, but I was Kim. I was Kimmy.
Wow.
And I still do.
That's
So that's a lot of how I'm able to now at age 50.
You are not 50.
Oh yes, I
Stop
am.
playing. That's painful. Do not do that.
You don't do it.
You see how humble?
So being able to, can you imagine Kim Fields and Madam Mayor scrapping on the floor? But being able to, I didn't start out trying to be famous. I never started out, and to this day, I don't try to be famous or maintain my celebrity. I don't see myself as a celebrity. I don't carry myself as a celebrity. Sometimes almost to the, I won't say the detriment, but sometimes people, I think, they want more of that from me, and I'm like, that's too much work, boo. I'm not doing all of that. What? I put my makeup on in the car right now because I was, just there was stuff to do.
Wow.
And then I was like, ooh, my hair. Hairdresser. She was like, I'm not in the shop today. Okay. To wear a hat, to not wear a hat. To wear a wig, to not wear. I was like, you know what? They know how I look. This is it.
Absolutely.
And we just gonna just meet and greet and be happy and keep it pushing.
That's how we want
And not like I didn't try, because I don't want y'all to be like, listen, I paid money, heifer, you better try.
No, she's gorgeous.
I did not trying this. I would have had my baseball hat on and no makeup, so y'all didn't get that, Kim. But now fast forward to Regine.
Yes.
I was done with college, and I have a job. And it was it was 1990, and it was basically a time where a lot of new life was coming into the creative community, especially with people of color.
Right.
So you had like Spike Lee, John Singleton, God rest, I can't even believe I'm saying God rest his soul after I say his name.
He was phenomenal.
Julie Dash. You had a lot of directors that were getting their comeuppance in the early 90s. And Blair was still finishing up on LA Law.
Yeah.
Malcolm was finishing on Cosby. I had just finished Facts of Life in school. And yet Blair, Malcolm, and I, we really weren't getting hired. And it was almost like people felt like, well, they had done the TV thing. We were stars in the 80s. And it was like, they're good. Now it's time to let other people have their season. I was like, well, wait a minute, we still can act and we still look good.
You
And
need
we
to
still
eat
want a
too.
job.
Yeah.
So we started directing and doing things for ourselves. We jumped on board with a production company, started directing music videos. Blair actually directed music videos for Tony Terry. Remember When I'm With You? So Blair directed us. Get it, Miss Mayor. Come on,
go
man. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to mess you up. So we started directing and writing and, just kind of trying to, number one, stay busy, because an idle mind is the devil's playground.
Yes, ma'am.
And we also were raised by villages, and we were each other's village. We were all in our village. And we again knew that we didn't want to go out like,
Right.
like that. And we love our industry. And so being able to create projects and write and, things like that. So I had written this show, this comedy that I wanted to do because I was looking at what did I want to do next as an actress. I knew I still loved acting. I was done with school. I was a grown up. I was in my early 20s. And I thought, there's a TV show on called Mad About You.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I said, I want to do that. And I had written a script and I reached out to Rocky Carroll. And I love Rocky Carroll. And I said, would you want to do this comedy with me? A rom-com is what we call it, romantic comedy. And he said, yeah, but it's great, but you're going to need a showrunner. I said, okay, fine. So at the time, I kept hearing the name Yvette Lee. Yvette Lee. She was the one that you should go to about this. And so I reached out to her. She was doing a show called Hanging with Mr. Cooper.
Yes.
And Mom was the acting coach, was Mark's, and the rest of the cast was the acting coach. So Mom knew her. We also had a mutual friend, an attorney, so we connected. And I told her about my project. She said, I think it's great, but I'm already on a project right now for Kim Coles and Queen Latifah. And I thought, well, who put that combo together? And she said, it's called My Girls, and there's a character that I wrote, and as I was writing it, I could hear you as this character. And so she let me read it, and I loved it, and it was Regine.
Wow.
And so they cast me, and then the guys and Erica. And we were, that chemistry that you see, that is us. That was us then, that is us to this very moment.
Wow.
We love each other so much. We are fans of each other's work. We were then, we are now. And so what you see is the real deal. That was shown up for real, lightning in a bottle.
Wow. Let's give Miss Fields a hand for
And that's why when people talk about a reboot and they just start throwing that term around, you got to be careful with reboots because especially when you're dealing with characters that people show enough for real love and they related to.
That's right.
You can't just throw us back out there like that. You have to really get it right.
That's right.
Because if you don't, it's hard to recover from that, and that leaves almost as strong of a mark on people as what the original was.
That's right.
And so not only is it, well, we're all, thank God, busy, including Yvette. She's in New York right now filming a show. So hopefully all six of us Black actors are still working. But also, again, you have to just be careful. It isn't just, well, what's Overton and Sinclair doing? Who are they kids? Is Regine still that? It really takes a lot more than that. So that's why, with crafting that kind of narrative, that's really where we are with it.
And it would take emotional fortitude to do that as well because you put so much of yourself in it. We can see you, and every woman patterned themselves after someone. Like I said, I wanted to be you, but they said, no, you're Max. So we appreciate that. We just appreciate everything that you've done. You're such a light. You bring so much positivity to everything that you do. And I'm going to jump into the Real Housewives of Atlanta. You were there as an example.
I never said that.
Well, no, we did.
Okay.
Because when we see you, we think it's going to be beautiful. We think it's going to be happy. And I really attribute what you've said about your mom to be like Paul and Timothy in the Bible and how there was a legacy of faith. And so your mom put a lot of faith and positivity and love, obviously, because you're like, when you squeeze a blueberry, what comes out is love and positivity and generosity and just being for real. And I'm not saying that reality TV isn't reality, although my husband says that all the time. But woo-wee, that was a lot right there. And I was on the show fighting for you. Leave her alone. I want to go and start beating people up. Don't talk to Kim Fields like that. I was so offended by some things, and even for, I know people are amen in corner, because even for someone, and I watch her on TV, people are afraid to go on Wendy Williams. But I saw the interview where you went on Wendy Williams and she was protecting you.
Yes.
And she kept saying, I'm like, Wendy Williams is protecting someone and I'm still on the team. So that was really something great to me. So can you talk to me about that experience?
Absolutely, sure. So doing Real Housewives, first of all, I call it a social adventure. And you have to put it in its proper context, specific to Kim and Kim's family and Kim's career. So at that point, 2016, I had celebrated 40 years in the industry.
Wow.
And so I told them, and I said to my team, you know what, guys, let's do things that we've never done before. Let's go into uncharted. I didn't want to play it safe. And that was across the board. You know, if it was scripted projects, just make sure they're characters I haven't played before. And that's because for 14 of the 40 years, I was Regine and Tootie.
Right.
So that's still a lot of characters that I have yet to play, a lot of genres, because that's also 2 comedies.
Right.
So there's a lot that I still hadn't done. And certainly reality was one of those, as well as competition shows. And so that was, you know, kind of the parameters for 2016 for my team and I. So then they said, Real Housewives of Atlanta called, and I said, call who? And they said, us. They wanted to know if you wanted to do the show. What? No. And so we said no like 3 times.
Oh, wow.
And they came back again, and then finally my husband Chris and I said, okay, all right, Lord, because obviously, you know, this is something that is not going away right now.
Right.
And so you've put us here for this. So what is it? And we really sat and we truly talked it through. We prayed about it, and we realized that number one, we were never there to fit in.
All right now.
We were never there to fit in because if you're around all the same type of people, well, that's boring. You can't learn from anybody. You can't have a nice exchange of ideas or culture or experiences or anything like that. And so we also realized that, you know, it's still a huge brand. I don't care what you think of it. It's still a huge, massive brand.
It is.
So if you're going to put your toe in the water, put it in the ocean.
Okay.
And so we put our toe in the water, in the ocean, and we ain't drowned.
I know that's right. Yes,
so
ma'am.
that was, you know, really the context with all of it was bring your laughter, bring your light. And it's not that I say those things, the brand was devoid of that. Hear me. I'm not saying that at all. It just wasn't our light and our laughter and our brand of parenting, our brand of marriage, our brand of humanity, our brand of womanhood.
Wow.
So those were the things I was like, well, okay, if we want to do that, no, I will not be quiet. No, I will not be quiet. Please.
Who is it? What? It's up to you. What is it? Come
Please.
on.
Please.
Come on. Do the please. That's your sweetheart. Oh! That's her sweetheart. Oh.
My husband, Chris Morgan.
Yay! Somebody's smiling now.
Yes, there she is.
We gotta wrap this up. This is the husband and wife.
So that was the context. Now when you rewind it all back in your mind, now it makes a little bit more sense to you, hopefully. But also from that standpoint of it remains something that we're very proud of because of the responses.
That's right.
from their core audience, let alone from people who said, I never watch it, but I watch it for you guys, or, you know, those sorts of things. And so if you're able to use your light and your brand and your platform and your creativity in you know, using your power for good and not evil.
That's right.
Yes.
So that was really where it came from. And then I still got personal gems from it.
Good.
You know,
Good.
the whole notion of needing me time. That was a very real moment for me, if you remember when that happened on the show. Because I'd had me time in '98 and I thought I was good. I really did. I promise you I did. I didn't realize that, oh no, that's a recurring theme, that it needs to be anyway.
Yes.
And because I had so much fulfillment and joy out of being wife and mother, and my career, that I was like, I'm really genuinely good. I'm not just saying that I'm walking the walk and talking the talk, but I didn't realize that that I still needed that.
Yeah.
And furthermore, that I saw Russell Simmons had put something up once. You can't pour from an empty cup. And I realized that as wife and as mom, it was pouring into me.
Right.
But I was pouring it right back out.
Yes.
And not realizing that I needed something that was just for me. It was almost like a cup that had compartments.
Yes.
And so, you know, pouring into my family and my career, and they give, you know, and that was fulfilling to me. Truly. I love being around my family, all of that. But I realized that then once I poured something that was just for me, it made the cup bigger.
Yes.
And I was able to get more in to put more out. And I didn't know that, number one, until I knew that I needed something like that. And then God is so merciful, He gave me Dancing with the Stars.
Yes.
And that opened up an entire world to me.
I didn't want you to leave when you left, so we can talk about Dancing with the Stars. But first, thank you for sharing your heart to talk to us about that. And I think it's instrumental for women to hear that although we love our families, we love our husbands and our children and mom and everyone else, that we still need a peace for ourselves. God rested on the seventh day, so we need to rest too.
And I really didn't know that, you know, again, because I thought that I had so much me time and I really knew me, and I was like, I'm really good on it. I'm good, and I had no idea that it was as valuable.
Yeah.
As it is and was, you know, had no idea until that moment.
Until you need it. So on the show, we did learn about your private life a little bit. So I don't know how much you want to share about your husband and your two children.
Yeah. So Christopher, who you just saw, that's my husband. We've been married 12 years. We've been together 15 years this spring. And we have two spectacular human beings.
Oh, she says spectacular.
I mean, truly, we truly do. They are spectacular, and I say this independent of being their mom, and independent of being the blessed vessel that was chosen to bring them here. They truly are spectacular human beings.
Wow.
When people look at your children and say things like, "What a beautiful soul," that means a lot.
Yes.
You know. And they are, and they're just the best, you know.
Beautiful.
And they walk in their purpose even now.
All right.
If that purpose is their light,
Yes.
and shining that light, if that purpose is comforting others. We've had parent-teacher conferences for the first, I'd say, 6 years of our oldest boy's education. And every single time the teacher has, at some point in that parent-teacher conference, cried at what a wonderful child this
Beautiful.
boy is. So, you know, that means a lot.
Yes.
You know, and we prayed when they were in the womb. We prayed over them certainly outside of the womb, every day, every night. We prayed over their relationship when we had the second one. You know, we've been through some things. When I wrote my autobiography,
Blessed Life.
Blessed Life, I started with the poem by, an excerpt from the poem by Langston Hughes. He's my favorite poet, but it's, well, son, I'll tell you, life for me ain't been no crystal stair. And I started with that because people think I ain't been through nothing. And I'm thrilled that people think of me as light and as, joy and how infectious my laugh is and all those things. But don't get it twisted. I've been through some things. And just because everything wasn't on the cover of Jet, or now Instagram and Twitter and TMZ and all that stuff, don't think for a moment that I haven't been through heartache.
Wow.
And knocking hard on depression's door sometimes, and feeling like I don't know whose life this is. This ain't what I signed on for. Right. No, sir. Hey, what's happening up there? No, this is not what I planted seeds for. Like you plant seeds for carrots and telephone poles for what's sprouting.
Yeah,
how that happen? That's how you just don't recognize your life sometimes, because it's like this is not at all what I thought or envisioned. I am not anywhere near what I thought I was going to be, or better yet, what I should be and what I should have. And I started running down my resume to God. I'm Chip's kid, and I'm a tither, and I'm this, and I'm... Shut up. Don't do all of that. Be grateful. Be in the moment. Be flexible, and realize your goals and all of that. Hashtag goals. All of that is wonderful. Have a plan.
Right.
Like my mom said, have a plan. But then you have to be flexible to know that God has the same set of destinations in mind for you on your journey, but may have a completely different route for you to get there than what you think.
Amen.
Be open.
Amen.
Be open. Be open. Be open.
You're leaving me speechless. But really, you're just saying that you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you, and the joy of the Lord is your strength. That's why you're able to keep coming back.
Yes, and
So-
then those times when I don't feel strong at all, giving myself the permission to be okay with that.
Right.
That was an eye-opener for me. Our oldest boy, who's 12, I had a mini meltdown a little while ago, and I thought his headphones were on. And I was just, going in. And so when I finished, he came out and he was like, let's sit down and talk.
Ooh, excuse me.
And bless his heart, he made sure the baby, who was 5 at the time, had his headphones on, and he said, okay, he's good. He sat down and he said, why do you think this 12-year-old now, 12 years old, and he said, why do you think you have to be so strong for everybody all the time? He said, that's not why people love you.
Wow.
He said, I'm not on Instagram, but you probably have a lot of followers, like 1,000 people. And he said, they don't follow you because you're strong.
Wow.
Why do you think you have to be so strong? Then he blew me away with this one. And y'all can borrow this, but credit my baby Sebastian for this. He said, Mom, God gave us 2 hands. You can only pick up this and this. If you try to pick up anything else, to drop something, or you have to put something down or maneuver it. But you're only supposed to pick up 1 or 2 things, because that's all God gave you.
Tell Sebastian. The legacy of faith. That's what I'm talking about.
That's what my baby told me.
I know that's right. He was preaching. So,
Yes.
we're going to jump from
jump.
Dancing with the Stars.
Yes.
Did your feet hurt?
So my feet did not hurt when I did
Good.
Dancing with the Stars. I did get injured up in my, what is
gonna win.
Yeah. So that was a new level of surrender for me, and it introduced an entirely new world to me, and at a skill set level.
Right.
That's one of the highest for those styles of dancing, and I can't wait to continue it. If you follow me on social media, you know I'm always dancing.
Sweet.
And I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. I cannot ever get enough of it.
And
ever.
we were so happy to see you. And you're so gracious when he said, "Well, you've been voted." I was like, "She been voted on."
I was stunned. I was like in an old Lifetime movie from the 80s where I was just stunned. Like when they told you your daughter's been kidnapped in a Lifetime movie and you just looked crazy and my hair was everywhere. I mean, I know I looked crazy because I was and I didn't even hear it right. And then when I realized what had happened, y'all, when I tell you I had two different voices in my head. One voice was ready to cuss and scream and tell them people, y'all better think again, I'm not taking my black eye anywhere. I was ready to, I knew that was the bull. I see right now, I'm standing over it. And then there was the other side that was like, you live, you are somebody's wife, somebody's mother, you are a chick's daughter, you better not act a fool, you are a woman of color, just all of that came into place. So I was like,
It was good,
baby. Ooh, and I went in that trailer and I cried like I had been beaten. I mean, I looked a stone cold wreck by the time I got to the airport. And the Delta greeter was there because that's the thing, like after you voted up, you have to immediately, you are whisked to the airport and you have to truly. And they tell you, pack a bag every week and bring it to the set.
Oh my goodness.
In case you voted off, you can't go back to your apartment or whatever.
Wow.
You have to go from the studio to the airport. I ain't got no bag because I'm like, I ain't going nowhere. So my manager and my sister had to go and pack my bag and I was in tears. And Sebastian wasn't in the studio. That was one of the weeks that he had gone back to here with Chris. And so they were watching live and everything. And Chris didn't know that Sebastian had seen when I got voted up. So he was on the phone with me. I mean, just a wreck. Meanwhile, Sebastian is up on the landing. What do they call it? The Widow's Bridge or something?
Yes.
And he's up there crying. And poor Chris is just trying to figure out where's the bar. I can't take both of y'all right now.
Goodness.
But so they brought my bag, whisked me and Sasha to the airport, and somehow. Sasha and I got separated, and so he was on a flight before me. So now to top it all off, I'm on this flight by myself.
Yourself.
And they had this See's Candy kiosk in the airport, and I was like, "Can I have a box of chocolates, please?" And the poor Delta rep felt so bad. She was just like, "Here, just take this," and I got on the flight. And I ate like half the box right then and there, and I felt so disgusted. But yes,
That's okay. You can still.
But all of that to say, it was one of the greatest experiences of my entire life and career.
Very good.
And to know the impact that it had for women, for women of color. I'm not a real poster child. I don't want to be a real poster child for, she's over 30 or she's over 40, she's over this. What did Aaliyah say? Age ain't nothing but a number.
Right.
So, but I recognize that, people still resonated with, hey, she's representing, a certain demographic or
That's
whatever.
Right.
And so all that was great. I wasn't trying to. I'm just very competitive. I'm very competitive. It's almost unhealthy. Almost. But it was a tremendous experience, and again, that level of surrender. I wrote an article about my time on Dancing with the Stars because it was such a life changer and a game changer for me. That I wrote an article about the 5 things I learned from Dancing with the Stars, and my work ethic I didn't know could go deeper, and I didn't know my level of surrendering to completely something new.
Wow.
And learning something new, because again, you get to a certain age, and you know, for some of you are like, I gotta go back to school, or some of you who are in real estate, I gotta take this test again. Yes, so shut up and just go and just do what you gotta do. And I had determined that I wasn't going to come into rehearsal not one day with any limitations. I wanted to be completely limitless. And my mantra during the entire season was, life begins at the end of your comfort zone.
Wow.
And I didn't say that.
Put your quote.
That's not me, so don't go lying on me and say I said it, because I'm repeating it. I saw it on a coffee mug and a candle. Okay.
Oh my God.
But I really do believe that and hold that true to this day.
Wow, very courageous. That was very courageous.
Thank you. It was, and because I had never danced a day in my life.
Wow.
And I'd never danced a day in my life, and to have that, it was an enormous level of trust that you have with your partner. And what I appreciated was Sasha and I had in common, he had also been doing his profession since he was a child. And so we immediately had that connection of, I know what I'm doing. I've been doing this since I was a kid, and understanding the work ethic and the passion it takes to do something from childhood to adulthood and still love it to that degree, and especially to the tune of, and now I'm going to teach you or teach someone how to do it.
Yeah, and we still love you from back in childhood all the way through adulthood. And so we can see you this month for Christmas on Lifetime. For women, sometimes we watch Lifetime. We'll start like on a Saturday, and the whole evening is done.
The whole week.
The whole weekend is over. You watch Lifetime.
Right.
So you didn't burn bridges because you were able, and this says something about women working together. That you're able to call your friends from Facts of Life, have them come and do cameos or some part of the movie. So can you talk to us about Light Up My Life?
Yes,
or whatever?
absolutely.
Yes, ma'am.
So the Christmas movie that I was blessed to star in this Christmas is called You Light Up My Christmas, and it's on Lifetime. And I'm so extremely proud of this movie for a number of reasons. I executive produced it and also star in it. And because of the steps, when they talk about, and the word says your steps are ordered, that's for real. I've been in a development deal with Lifetime for, I don't know, maybe 2 years now.
Wow.
On a project that was about, it was a faith project. And because it was a faith project, I'm of course thinking, well, God, this is for you, so of course we're going to get the green light, we're going to make this movie, it's going to have a sequel, and all sorts of things. And because it's like, well, it's for God, so of course it's going to go. So anyway, after 2 years in development and drafts of the script, and constantly notes and feedback, all these cooks in the kitchen with it, and then finally they were like, well, you know what? We're not really doing this anymore. What? Okay. And then they said, do you have anything else? Be ye ready.
Okay.
Be ye ready. If you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. So they said, you have something else? And we said, yes, we have this project. And this was now, after the 2 years, this was now in June. Okay. And they said, do you have something else? And we said, yes. And here's what really blew the doors off of it for me. The executive said, we want you on the air this year. We want you on the air this year, this Christmas if possible. I'm 50 years old. I've been in the industry since I was 7. I'm a black person and I'm a woman. And I don't really put all them labels and all of that on it, but sometimes you gotta have perspective.
That's right.
To hear a network executive say that with all of those labels on there, that almost put me in the ground. Because I didn't take that lightly. So we said, yes, we have this Christmas movie idea. And they said, great, let's see it. And we said, well, it's not a script, it's just a couple of pages. And they said, great, no problem, we love it, let's read it. So they loved it and they said, we love it, but we don't think it's going to be ready for this Christmas. Okay. No. And once again, because of that little faith component, I'm thinking, well, come on, Jesus, this is for you. Movie deal. Touching everything but Lifetime, I know that ain't right.
Right.
So they said, we'll put this in development for 2020. Okay. She said, but we still want you on the air for this year.
Good.
She says, we have a project. This writer, you actually did a movie of hers back in 2014 for Hallmark. We love her writing. She really knows the formula for our TV movies, especially for Christmas movies.
Right.
Would you read it? And if you like it, we'll make this movie. Come on, white girl? Okay. I mean, for real, this is like how they do them.
Yes.
Sometimes
Yes.
I was like,
Protecting. Right.
So sure enough, I read the script and really, really liked it a lot. And they had some things, and they said, we know we want to change a few things. For example, the current movie, my family owns a Christmas light factory. In the original, it was a glitter factory. And I was like, glitter? We ain't doing glitter. And so they said, what? So sure enough, they let us again have a voice. So, Rhonda and I, and they had already said, Rhonda can direct, you executive produce, you and your manager.
Excellent.
And you guys will read the script and, work with the writer and massage it. And so the executive producer, whose company produced the movie, he says, well, I read an article about a Christmas light factory that was started in Colorado about 100 years or so ago. And this man took light bulbs and dipped them in red and green paint because his son was sick. And it was during the holidays, and so he took those painted light bulbs and put them in the tree outside of the boy's window. And supposedly this son got better, it lifted his spirits.
Wow.
And so that's who they attribute the creation of Christmas lights to this man in this story. So this producer says, what if we use that as the jump off for your movie and your family owns this Christmas light factory? And I was like, oh, wait a minute, so we're going to be black people that own a family business? Okay! We going to have legacy in here? Okay! And family, I kid you not, Madam Mayor, that was again towards the end of June. The writer went away for the 4th of July holiday and wrote the first draft. After the first draft, they said, great, love it. Go to Vancouver, make this movie. By August, the last week in August, early August, we had started pre-production on the movie. By the middle of August, we were filming the movie in Vancouver. And then we wrapped on early September. While we were there, and as I was producing it, and I said, I'd really love to get some of the people involved that I've worked with in the past, and I'd love to invite my Facts of Life sisters to be a part of this, because there's family, there's nostalgia, we're all very close. And they were like, yes, please, that would be great. And so I reached out to each one, and they all said yes. And I said, well, what kind of character would you like to play? Because we're not playing those characters.
Right.
And they really appreciated that, so got them on board. The cast was great, the crew was great. And so as we were filming the first few days, the network calls and says, this is so amazing. We want to bump up your premiere date 2 weeks.
Wow.
So instead of December 14th, we want you to premiere December 1st.
Oh my goodness.
So, you know, everything got accelerated, and then they did a huge push, you know, publicity and marketing wise. And again, going back to seat at the table, making sure that Lifetime understood that, making sure that urban media was really serviced with this movie. The faith community, we had thousands of churches across the country looking at the trailer every Sunday, 3 weeks leading up to the movie. And that's stuff that Lifetime had never done before.
Wow.
But they really gave me the keys to their city, so to speak, by saying, okay, what would you like to do in terms of marketing and in terms of PR? I had them do a 20-minute documentary on the making of my character.
Wow.
From hair, makeup, and wardrobe. And they put it on YouTube. This is stuff that they've never done before.
Wow.
And I constantly was thinking, this ain't even the movie that we were supposed to do. That I thought.
Right.
But the destination was still the same. I still was on the air this year in a Lifetime movie.
Right.
Not at all how I thought I was going to be on Lifetime this year.
That's how he does things. Now we're going to open up for questions and answers. Yeah, we're going to open up for questions and answers. And God has obviously made you the head and not the tail. And so we want to, of course, buy Kim's book. I was going to say Miss Fields again. Buy Kim's book. And
the coffee.
And the coffee. There you go. That's a great talk about the coffee. But come on, Miss Michelle. Let's talk about
All right, let's give them both a hand. And on that, we're going to do a very quick Q&A. And then right after, we have a special little thing we want to do. And then we have Peach Cobbler that's sitting in this room waiting, y'all. Yeah, Peach Cobbler.
Thank you so much once again, Madam Mayor and Mrs. Kim Fields, for being with us tonight and sharing a little bit about your journey. We appreciate that. And now we wanted to open up for some Q&A. And I would actually like to start off and ask you if you could share a little bit about your Coffee for a Cause. Tell us a little bit about that.
So, of course, as you know, when you were getting your comeuppance as an entrepreneur, or even in the corporate world, you know, we're in a culture where you have to have corporate responsibility, and you have to not have to. It's a good thing, and especially when you're an entrepreneur and you were raised to help others. That's just what you do. And so being able to have a business that supports other people when they're in need was really important to Chris and I and to our partners. And so when Angela and Russell, when we started dialoguing, you know, yes, about things like strategizing to get in retail, what is our marketing campaign for 2020, and all of those things. It also came up, you know, what about a foundation? What about a cause? How do we make sure that we help others? And so as we started dialoguing with other colleagues and finding out, you know, the things that are still very strong needs in terms of domestic violence, in terms of mental health, the connectivity between those two very, very important issues. And I'm also, I don't believe that you have to experience something to help someone who is experiencing that. So even though I've not been affected by or a conqueror or victim of domestic violence or mental illness or anything like that, that's still a part of the fabric of humanity right now. And so we have to, for me, you know, for me and my house, that's what we're going to do. And so that's where it came from, and finding different opportunities between, as you start dialoguing with community leaders, government leaders, elected officials, people in government, the way deep behind the veil, and people, well, if you do this, that unlocks this, and this. And so that's where it really came from, so that, yes, we want to be able to do things like, of course, giving assistance or toys or spa packages or whatever it may be to help people in that immediate. But after a while, it's not just about putting the Band-Aids, the proverbial Band-Aids on things. Sometimes you do that, but there's also much bigger play that can really make impact. And that's where I am with it.
And how can we get involved?
Well,
how can we get involved with all that you're doing? How can we help?
Well, one, thank you for asking. I remember my mother said a long time ago to me, find a need and fill it. And so, of course, we are looking at how we're structuring and adjusting some of our structure as a business to look at how we are connected with certain entities and brands to have coffee cafes, a coffee, wine, and hotel environment for people dealing with and conquering. I'm not a huge fan of the word victim, so you hear me say conqueror a lot, but to be able to provide our coffee, but also the backdrop for certain experiences, certain conversations, certain healing. And that to me is really where a lot of this is headed, in terms of healing and being able to have a seat at that table. And so with that, yes, of course, purchasing the coffee, but also just like you said, finding out what you can do, staying connected with us, making sure that when you are on our website, you give us your email and all of that. And not because we're going to load you up with, hey, we dropped a new flavor this month. No, but we're going to do that. But from the standpoint of knowing, I know for me, like if I know that there are certain brands that I support and I see what they're doing, it encourages me to keep spending my money there, because they are being responsible with their dollars in helping others. And so that way you're able to see, who we're joining forces with or teaming up with for different things, and being able to, again, connect those dots. You've got a patch, you have a patch, you have a patch. When you bring them together, it's an amazing quilt.
Absolutely. Now tell us, we have a website that we can go to.
Yes, signatureblends.kf.com. Signature Blends by KF, my initials, KF. Please don't spell out K. Please don't spell out F. You will be so wrong. Signature Blends by KF.com. And we're also that way on social media, on Instagram and Facebook. On Twitter, it's at SB by KF. Okay? And so you'll be able to see some of the things that we're doing there. Last week I was in DC, and so we did a couple of tours of a shelter there. Also spoke with one of the colleges there and universities to also get young people involved with some of the things that we're doing. And not just in terms of domestic violence and mental health, that's one component, but there's a few different facets to all of this, Amazing. But it's something that, Angela and Russell and Chris and I, we talk a lot about. It's a certain facet of it. And here's the thing, as an entrepreneur, for any of you all that are on that path, it's very easy to get distracted. It's easy to get distracted by what you don't have. It's easy to get distracted by your goals and your expectations, especially now that we're at the end of this year, going into a new year, where you start making all these lists and all sorts of things in your vision board and all kinds of And it's easy to get distracted with what other people are doing, and you start seeing those connections. All that's fine as long as you still remember to take a little time every day to focus on the core goal, on your core goal. Always return back to that core goal, because for us, there's a lot of stuff happening, fast and furious for us. And being able to, run the table, but still go to, we want to sell coffee. We sell coffee. We are purveyors of coffee. That opens up a whole, bunch of tentacles, absolutely. But just like for me, I'm an actor. Yes, I love directing, I love producing, I love creating, I'm a storyteller and all of that. But at the end of the day, what's the core? I'm an actor. And then everything else starts, jumping off from there. I'm an actor. I acted in this movie that I also produced. From there, all of a sudden, I'm at the International Emmys. What the what? How did that happen? Oh, because I acted in this movie, and then all these other things started happening. From there, I meet this person, and then this jumped off, and then this happened. But again, entrepreneurs, people, you're an entrepreneur, but you're also corporate. So for you, again, setting those goals for your office, adhering to what corporate has going on, but then what you've mapped out as your core. And if that's taking care of people, then that's what you do. So there's different ways to achieve that, but sometimes just returning to that most basic tenet in your core is helpful.
That's great that you shared that. As entrepreneurs, we do have a lot of thoughts and ideas, and we could be all over the place.
Sure, absolutely.
But I would like to open up actually to some Q&As. Do we have some questions? Marigold, could you come up?
Anybody else going to take 3? So just come right
Lynn, come on up. Marigold.
Fellas, no fellas.
And we have our questions. Okay.
Thank you so much, Pam. What I got really from your talk is a lot of wisdom.
Thank you.
A lot of wisdom. And so that's why I'm going to ask this question. Have you ever had to reinvent yourself? And if so, what were the core things that you did? Because having to reinvent this, there's some disappointment in there, and then a comeback.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm asking.
Yeah. If you are doing something for over 40 years and don't reinvent yourself, something is horribly wrong. So, yes, I've had to reinvent myself a lot. Sometimes it's little things like changing my hair, changing my style, or changing, certain things on the exterior, because I'm in a visual industry, and that's what they, gravitate towards first. I've had to reinvent myself in terms of my skills, my skill set. The style of acting for Facts of Life, very different than the style of acting for You Light Up My Christmas. And so being able to stay on trend and current, as well as setting certain trends, and with my skill set and that sort of thing. Staying current in terms of how to reach your audience. Whether you're an actor and you have a product, a movie, a TV show, a record, a product, whatever it is, just knowing how to effectively, and that's the operative word, knowing how to effectively reach your audience, then how to reach beyond there. The reason why I said to Lifetime, hey, let's do this documentary about the making of my character, not to do more for me, but because the makeup, hair, and fashion industries are huge. Now add to that holiday fashions, makeup, and wardrobe. So why wouldn't I take 20 minutes and show people, hey, here's my makeup artist. Here's how we created all these looks. Here's my hair team. Here's how we created this. Here are 2 fashion designers who created these looks. Now I've opened up the movie exposure to a whole nother set of industries doing this documentary day. So definitely, staying aware of how to reach people effectively. But yeah, you have to keep reinventing yourself. And that's personally, that's on every level. If you plan on longevity, people attribute that to me or my career. But it's you have to have that sentiment of keeping it fresh, keeping it new, staying relevant, all of those things, in order to stay in the game with any real relevance.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mary.
I have a lighter question. So since you enjoyed your time on Real Housewives, would you consider doing another reality competition show, like maybe Masked Singer? I love that
Somebody thought I was a fox. Somebody thought I was something on the Masked Singer. That was you. That's right. That's right. At the moment, no. I would not consider doing reality or competition. And here's why, honestly, it's not the genre from, the content standpoint, it's the logistics. It takes a lot out of you. And right now, I'm so focused on what I'm doing in the scripted world. Between the movie, following up with that, I'm really excited about a project that is coming down the pipeline at the top of the year that's scripted. So, it's just the timing for that type of lifestyle schedule, or that that it's not conducive for that right now. And in terms of competition, I'm way too competitive. I really am. When I did the reboot of Battle of the Network Stars after Dancing with the Stars, and that didn't work out, I was like, I told my nope, my manager, I was like, no more competition, because I'm way too competitive, and I'm just not doing that. So nope. I'm sorry.
Kim, so we have our own local childhood star here, and I wanted to at least give her the acknowledgement. Everybody remembers Fame, right?
Yes.
So let's give her a hand. Dusty, she was on that show. She also sang the theme song. She was right in Douglasville.
Yes.
Another childhood star, but I love her. Michelle's so great. I'm almost gonna cry because it's been a long time since we've been together. We used to hang out all the time. I don't know if you remember that. But I have a specific question that I wanted to ask you. I loved you on Housewives and wish you could have stayed and helped clean up some of those stuff. I love what you were doing there. And one of the main things that I liked seeing was you directing and producing on the show. That was awesome.
Thank you.
So I wanted to know, you had said earlier that when you were hanging out with Blair and Malcolm, you guys were looking for work after we all finished. And all our episodes finished around the same time. I went into theater, and I didn't know that you were directing. But I'm curious, are you still looking for projects now? And I know you're talking about the TV, but do you also do theater as well? Or exactly how did that come about?
Right. So yes, in terms of theater, I kind of started out. That was my intro into all of this, seeing my mom in theater, and my grandmother was a ballroom dancer and a dancer for Billy Eckstein and Pearl Bailey, and danced at the Savoy and all sorts of things. So I love doing theater. I wish to do more theater, but right now. Like the last thing I directed was in May. I did the Christmas episode for Raven's Home, the reboot of That's So Raven. So I am still directing.
That was a good episode.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. So I am still directing. I love directing. I love producing. Lifetime and A&E has asked me to produce a lot more for them in Canada this upcoming year. So it's something that I really like a lot. At the moment, I'm not looking at new projects just because the plate is pretty full with projects that have been on there for a while. And it's really no joke when, you hear people talk about, oh, it took me 10 years to get this project off the ground. It took me 25 years or 12 years. Number one, because time flies. And number two, it's like you'll have an executive at a network who's loving it, and then they go and change to another company, and the new person is like, oh no, I'm not interested in that. We're not doing that anymore. And so there's, it's ever changing. So at the moment, I'm not actively looking at or even receiving new material. A lot of people I know, like big time creatives, they'll go on Instagram. The woman, I did a movie called A Question of Faith, and it was in theaters a couple of years ago, and then was on Netflix. The woman who produced that, she'll be on, Angela White is her name, and she'll be on Instagram a lot saying, hey guys, we're looking for writers to, we're doing a writing thing or a competition, or here's the type of script I'm looking to produce next, who's got anything like that. So social media has really been very helpful to a lot of people getting their comeuppance with their own projects. But come correct. If you are trying to write a script, please learn how to write a script. And I don't mean in terms of the content. I mean, take the time to find out how to format it so that you look correct. If you are trying to pitch somebody something, don't just look at Shark Tank and take notes. There are so many things now that you can just Google to find out, how do I make a pitch deck? How do I do marketing? How do I do, come correct or don't come at all. Please, Jesus.
We have one last question.
Hey, so I know earlier that you explained how important it was to really stay invested in yourself because you were pouring out so much to others. So how important is it to really just plan your day and maximize your day, but also kind of just help maximize other people's day? Because I know you talk about that. So how important was it, just like going through the different roles and opportunities that you had, and how important was it to just learn how to just maximize your day, really maximize all the opportunities you had?
Yeah, thank you for that. I think it's very important to try to maximize your time, whether it's your day, your week, your month, anything like that. But again, have that flexibility, so that if your whole day goes, off the rails, be okay with that, not from a standpoint of, oh, well, it happens, but from the standpoint of be flexible, rather than being so angry that traffic is just atrocious. God might be saving you from a car accident 2 miles up the road. When you are mapping out your day and your time, again, just being open, being flexible. I had a stylist. I was in New York a couple of weeks ago doing the press tour for the Christmas movie, and my stylist completely bailed. I mean, completely bailed, and it was nothing but the grace that did not let this put him on blast. That ain't even the lesson that I'm trying to drop on you right now. But so I reached out, and Chris said, well, call a couple of our friends in New York because they might know a designer, blah, 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 blah. So sure enough, one of Chris's photographer friends, he says, oh, I know this designer, and she's great, she'll be able to help you out. She was out of town. She calls her sister. Her sister lives next door to her and happened to have keys, and she said, go in there. And it was 6 o'clock in the morning, and Tamron Hall's show was live. It was the Thursday before Thanksgiving. Look it up. And so sure enough, she had her sister, woke her sister up, and then she said her sister's not a morning person. Woke her sister up, asked her if she would please go over to her place, pull a few items, and meet me at the TV studio. At this point, I'm also, because Tamron and I are very dear friends, I'm talking to her like, hey, I might need to dip into your closet because I ain't got nothing to wear. I mean, I had nothing, when I say nothing, no thing to wear. Nothing to wear. And so the sister gets the items, jumps in an Uber, meets me at the station. She was flexible. at the crack of dawn. And whose business do you think they have had ever since?
Right, that's right.
So again, that kind of flexibility, being pliable, being, you know, where you can say yes to things. Now, don't overextend yourself. Don't get overwhelmed so easily. Don't get overwhelmed and take too much on. There are times when you have to know your own limit, and understanding that it's not putting limitations. It's not putting limitations on you or God by understanding your limits. We about to sell that on a mug. Check the website tomorrow. But that's not limiting God. That's not limiting yourself by understanding that sometimes you got to put limits on things, pump the brakes on some things. That is okay. Because if you are falling out in the middle of the street because you have worn yourself out, then you're no good to anybody.
That's right. That's right.
So those are the things that and then some of that I have found out the hard way. I can feel my husband's spirit going, oh really? Oh, now you got that knowledge? Is that what you're trying to say? So some of it is, you know, trial and error. Also, work-life balance. Balance is not 50-50. Whether you're in a marriage, a relationship, or whatever. Balance is not, you get 50, I get 50. That's a myth. That's a lie from the pit of hell. Work-life balance to me is constantly making adjustments in real time. A friend of mine once told me the team who wins is the team who makes adjustments in real time. It's one thing to take the L and go and look at the film or the tape and see what you did that made you lose and make those adjustments for the next game. That's different than seeing what's working and what's not working while you're still playing the game in real time and making those adjustments and then being able to execute those adjustments in order to hopefully try to win. So,
Thank you for your question. And we do have one more question, is that correct? Okay, step up, sir. Thank you.
Hello, Ken. Very good to see you again. But I have a question from your perspective, since you've been in the industry so long, and as you know, what we see here in Atlanta, it seems like it's becoming a new Hollywood, and more people of color are in seats of power and everything from what I see. Do you vision things in balance of what people were accustomed to in Hollywood changing because of the new works that are being here, Perry and others, and their influence in the industry? I'm curious to...
So let me see if I understand the question. So you're saying the work that's being done here, is it like impacting and influencing mainstream Hollywood? Yes. Here's the thing. Tyler can have the greatest studio in the world, and that's what brought us here. We were brought here 10, 11 years ago to direct for him. If the people here are not trained, if they're not ready, if they're not equipped, Marvel, take it off of Tyler, because that's not fair to just make Tyler the be-all, end-all just because he's black. Take it off. If Marvel, if Netflix, anybody that has studios here and work here, all the tax breaks in the world that our government, that the government can give them won't matter if they still have to bring a whole bunch of people out here because here is not ready for it. And that's across the board, family. I don't just mean in terms of in the actual industry on the set. What if they do a movie right here What if Marvel opens up some sort of studio right here? This place better be ready to have a lot of people being here on the regular. And I don't mean in terms of code and all of that. Your customer service. Your dishes. Your furniture, your carpet, your flooring, all of that. So I'm being that detail oriented because you can't really say, oh, it's the Hollywood South. Lord, that gets on my nerves. Jesus. But you know, it's I mean, that's like Canada saying, oh, it's the Hollywood North. It's Canada. Be Canada. It's great. New York ain't never said it's Hollywood Northeast. Come on, family. But the bottom line is wherever the work is, you have to be ready for not just the core of the work, but all the runoff. Marvel, mess around and open up a studio here. Then guess what? You better have a great dry cleaner nearby. Because they're going to have So I'm saying all that to say that yes, there's a lot of work that's happening here, and it's impacting. It's making other cities step up their game. Yes, a lot of government officials are using Atlanta, and not just in the States, but other countries are utilizing this business model to attract other productions and other industries. And it's not just Hollywood that's coming out here, or the entertainment industry, I should say. The tech industry is booming out here. But you have to be ready for that. And it hurt my heart, sorry to say, that what they're teaching our young people in the schools and colleges, they're not ready at all to be in this workforce. I'm sorry, but they're not. We got to do something about that. We have to get them ready. They're not prepared at all. They can't be an intern. They can't be a production. They can't be a gopher. They can't be a runner because they are not being taught at all how to be equipped to handle what's here. It ain't like we're looking down 5 years saying this is coming. It's here. And we got to get them ready.
Thank you.
Thank you for all questions.
And once again, I wanted to thank you for coming out.
Thank you.
But before we do that, I want everyone to stand to their feet because Kim gave us the real deal. She told me for 5-10 minutes. I mean, it really bothered her that she could not make it on the date that was set here. And she wanted to do her best to make sure she came back in a very big way. And I just wanted to make sure she knows that we love her, we appreciate her, but we're going to support you.
Thank you.
And tonight I want to thank everyone that actually came out tonight. Y'all can sit down. Thank everybody for coming out tonight, because not only did you enjoy it, did y'all enjoy that coffee? They enjoyed the coffee. I think you just about sold out. Russ, are we sold out? How many more?
Not yet. We have unlimited supply online.
Oh, yeah, right, Mr. Russell. But how many more we have left here today?
At least about 10 more bags.
Okay, we want to make sure in leaving tonight, I don't care if you're giving it to somebody for Christmas, we want to make sure that they leave tonight with no coffee left here. And then y'all still come back next week if we got to buy your coffee here, because we'll be the official distributor of the coffee here, pushing it. So we're going to have a kids corner. We're doing a 90-day pop-up. You'll get a chance to do your coffee and your cocktails here as well during the winter months. Really quickly, I do want to acknowledge, if you guys don't mind, because we're wrapping up, our sponsor, another young entrepreneur. Come on over here, Catherine. That's what this is about. I think I called Catherine just like the mayor. Sure. Count me in. And that's what it's about. That we can't have these kind of things unless we have supporters, but we got a supporter too. Y'all need assurance, so don't forget her tonight. But I do want to also have her make a special announcement based upon what has happened tonight. And I think it's going to be important for the two organizations.
Yes, in alignment with the corporate responsibility, we are, for every quote that we generate tonight, and just a quote, you actually do not have to commit to the insurance product. For every quote, we are donating $10 to the nonprofit organizations So I'm basically a local State Farm agent, and we're full service insurance. We offer from auto, life, home. A lot of people don't realize that State Farm also offer banks, so we have financial services as well. And one of the biggest things that set our agency apart is our corporate responsibility. We've always supported the community. Since day one, I started with supporting. Our first quote was a good partner was with JC Freedom House. But the other thing is that we take a holistic approach to helping our customers understand just what's at risk. Because a lot of people don't necessarily take the time to really think about what all is involved when it comes to insuring me properly. So we really make sure that we sit down and have a thorough conversation with our customers so they understand what all is involved and what all is at risk when you get in your car every day.
Thank you. Let's give her a hand. That's what it's all about. So we're going to do a quick shot before we leave. I'm going to ask all the elected officials to come back. And while we're getting them all to the front, let's give Kim once again a hand tonight. And her we're so proud of you. Listen, Black Home Coffee Company, guys. That's what it's about. You know, coming together. And Angela, come on up. We're going to do a quick shot. I'm going to ask also, I want to give a special shout out to our amazing Blue Rose staff. And husband, please.
Chris?
Our amazing husband, please come to the front. We're not our husbands. Come on up here, Chris. You didn't get a chance to meet my husband. He had to leave tonight, but definitely it's awesome to have a husband-wife duo. Tiana, Donald will come here while they're organizing. Mr. Donald.
Mrs. Mayor?
How are you? Nice to
Oh,
meet you.
and we also have tea.
She
Don't forget.
loves you. And you're doing a great job taking care of her.
Please go online and order the signature blend.
She's a national